Alright, welcome everybody. This is the machine demonstration portion for the Fadal vertical machining centers for the MIME qualification to be able to use and operate these machines. This video is going to go through everything that you'll need to know in order to start up the machines, set them up, basic operation, running programs, and of course before running programs, verifying the programs. So pay attention. You will be required to demonstrate all of these activities I'm going to go through on this machine before you're allowed to operate this equipment. So get ready, we'll dive right in. Alright, so the first step we need to go through is startup of the vertical machining centers, and there's two kind of scenarios that I want to walk through. The primary and hopefully the scenario that you go through most of the time, and then a secondary scenario if the machine was not shut down correctly. So we'll walk through those two scenarios right now. Okay, we're standing at the back of the 4525. This is where you're going to need to come in order to turn on the machine. There's just a couple things to do. The first is a check to make sure that you do have air pressure supplied to the machine. Shop air does sometimes get shut down, so it's a good idea to check this. All you got to do is take a look at this regulator dial right here, this regulator gauge, and there's a little note that we've added to the back of the machine right here to tell you that the gauge should be above 85 psi, and that's what you want to see indicated on this gauge right here. Once that's done, then you can go ahead and turn on the machine, and that is accomplished by just rotating the power switch right here from the off to the on. Bang, like so. And then there's a little green button here next to it. You want to push and hold that for just a couple seconds, and this will actually power up the controller. It closes the relay and powers up the controller. So I'll push and hold that for a second, let it go, and then we should be powering up in front of the machines. We'll walk around there and go check it out. We're back at the front of the machine now. You can see the controller's turned on, and this Fadal boots up into what's known as essentially an automatic cold starting routine. Before we do that, let's talk about a little bit of what we're trying to accomplish. So again, the Fadal, when it's shut down, loses essentially all knowledge of its position. So when we boot it back up, the machine coordinate system origin essentially has to be reestablished. The design of the Fadals is such that all motion is essentially tracked through relative encoders. So the Fadal doesn't know where it is in space. That has to be established manually by the operator, and that is accomplished going through this cold start routine. Again, there's two scenarios that you can have. One where the machine will shut down essentially in a correct position, such that the tables and the head have been located essentially at the center of travel of the machine. The head is up at the tool chain's position. That would be the correct shutdown procedure. And then the incorrect would be where that had not occurred, and the person who had used the machine before you did not return the machine to that position. So right now we're going to walk through essentially the correct shutdown, or the procedure where the machine was shut down correctly. Okay. So I want to open up the machine and essentially take a look at our indicator tabs that are mounted on the enclosure, and then also correlating tabs that are mounted on the table. So I'll point right here first to the x-axis, and you'll see that there's a tab mounted onto the table, and then down below that a little indicator tab that's mounted to the saddle. And when those two are lined up, then we know that the x-axis is basically at the center of travel for the machine and in the correct cold starting position. So that's going to be the origin of the x-axis once the machine has been cold started. Likewise, there's a tab over here for the Y, and then back on the back end of the closure there's a tab back there for Z, and all of those need to be lined up. So currently, if you look there, you can see the x-axis is lined up. The same is true for Y and Z. and I can go ahead and cold start the machine at this point. So I'm going to do that right now. The controller is just flashing essentially start at me, indicating that for me to start the cold starting routine, I just need to hit the start button, and I'll do that right now. And he immediately goes in and starts moving the servo motors around to try to find the appropriate place for the cold start. Essentially the machine coordinate system origin. Okay, once that's been completed, the machine will ask you if it's configured, if it wants to move the last home position, and we'll go ahead and do that this time. So we'll hit start and let the machine move the table to the last stored home position, which we'll go through how to do that. Okay, so we're back at the machine again. This is the scenario where the machine was not properly shut down previously. So if I come in and I take a look at the machine, I've turned it on, and I take a look at my alignment tabs, and I can see the x-axis alignment tabs are not aligned, and the same as with y. So when this machine was shut down, it was not returned essentially to the cold start position, and now we need to address that. So before we cold start the machine, we'll go into jog mode and move the table around until our alignment marks line up. So I'll jog x-axis first and get those two alignment marks to line up. We will go through operation of jog mode in more detail and how to actually do that. Just now, accept that you'll know how to do this in a second. So I'm in jog mode. And you see, I'm just going to move the table until my two alignment marks are roughly aligned. If they were anywhere within probably 50 thousandths from the tab on the table to the tab that's down below on the saddle, then the machine would be able to find the correct home position. So I've done X, and now I will adjust and do Y. Okay. And now those marks are aligned, and I can go ahead and do the cold start routine at this point. Now, because we had to, we don't have the automatic cold starting routine option available to us when it wasn't shut down correctly, I need to enter a command to go into the machine to tell it to cold start. So to do that, I'm going to have to use the manual key to get me into the enter next command prompt right here. And I'm doing is pushing the manual key continually until it cycles to that point. And then I type CS for cold start, and I hit enter. And then here you see the screen again goes through and is looking for the appropriate position to establish as the machine coordinate system home or the cold start position. And there we have it. Once again, ask me if I want to go to the last home position. This time I'll decline and just press the manual button to escape out. And there we go. Now we cold start the machine.